In this video, I'm going to talk about what my grades were in undergrad, what I did through my high school, where I got my experience, and what my overall application looked like. Now, I can't really show you guys my application due to legality type things, but I'm gonna go through. I have my application on my iPad right here, and we can talk about some of the things that I put on my application, how I worked on it, and what the whole process really looked like for me. So to start things off, my application, I began it in January. So it opened up like I think January 12th or something. It opened up again so I could start putting my classes in, my undergrad experience, and just like the basic level of things that the application consists of. Now, with that being said, the application terrified me. I did not have the confidence to work on it. I didn't even know where to start. So I actually had a mentor that helped me like talk through things, and they didn't necessarily sit down and open the application with me, but instead I would work on it, and that person kept me accountable because we met every week to discuss my application, and they kept me accountable to work on it every week, or at least glance at it to add some experiences. And just talking with this person every week, it reminded me of little experiences that I had, and just like I would be talking to them back and forth. If I really want to put this on my application, I really want to do this, and then I would just jot down the information about it. When I get to talking about this, it's like I forget to breathe. And then I just keep talking. And I need to breathe, which is why I brought water. And my dog. Okay, so got all the Auburn apparel. You can see here. Now in May, you have where you get to select which schools that you want to apply to. And so like for me, I chose Auburn, Missouri, and Lincoln Memorial. And so I clicked all of those. I actually at one point added Florida and Mississippi, but keep in mind that all schools that you are applying to have completely different prerequisites. Now they're not, some like will go with each other, which is why I applied to Lincoln Memorial, Missouri, and Auburn, because they're around the same set of things. The only difference was Lincoln Memorial wanted genetics, whereas Auburn didn't want genetics, and then Missouri wanted physics 1 and 2. And so just like, I was already going to be taking physics 2 in order to complete a prerequisite for my undergrad, so it all worked with my schedule. However, when I added Florida and when I added Mississippi, I was going to sign myself up for I think 18 or 19 credit hours my spring senior year, which would be this semester, and absolutely not. Like, I am only at I think 13 hours right now, between 13 hours of genetics and physics, the club, senioritis, and everything else. It's just, I am so glad that I did not do 19 hours and just try to cram all these prereqs in just to apply to more schools, when my main priority that I wanted to get into was Auburn. So I recommend just making sure that you know like what prerequisites your school wants and like what their standards are. I did a lot of calling to the schools to just see like what they needed, or if their website was true. Some websites, they just don't let you know that like, oh, that prerequisite we actually waive for something else. And sometimes your school, if you're taking microbiology, sometimes that counts for one vet school's basic bio, so then you don't have to take another bio. So just make sure you're proactive in calling the schools. So for my grades, I typically kept A's and then one like B or C in the semester. So if I took 5 classes, I would have 4 A's and then a B or a C. So if you do get a B or a C, it's not the end of the world. Just try to keep your other classes up. And so how I would navigate things is I would sign myself up for like one really hard class and then the others would be doable. Just do one thing at a time, because your grades are important and there are a lot of schools that are transitioning from experience to how much your GPA is worth. So your grades do matter with when you're applying to vet school, and my GPA, overall GPA applying, was a 3.7, and then my science GPA was a 3.55. And you can get the statistics for what school that you are applying to and like what their average is on what they accept, who gets interviewed and everything else, and then like research the holistic schools, research just what schools and what they're looking for, and everything in your application is really important. To set your application apart from the others, one of the most important things that they tell you is to make sure you get good recommendation letters. I ended up getting 4. Typically, schools will tell you to get 3. 1 from a doctor, 1 from an advisor, professor, and then 1 of your choice. When you are getting these recommendation letters, I highly recommend that you get them and you ask them from people that know your character, know your work ethic and your morals, that make you the person that you're going to be as a veterinarian. The other thing that sets your application apart from others is your experiences. So in total, I had around 2,000 hours of equine experience. About 1,600 of that, about 1,600 of that was the equine hospital hours, and about 400 of it was the shadow experience of like not unpaid work with the equine veterinarian. But I also had about 500 hours of exercise related with the horses, and I had been riding horses since around 2012 and stuff, so I was on and off exercising or teaching lessons or just overall care of the horses, so I had experience. The other portion of my application was about 1,000 hours for small animal, and I split those hours among doing kennel work and working underneath a veterinarian, because they do want to see that you have small animal experience as well as working underneath a veterinarian. So if you were a kennel assistant, put that down and put it down as not underneath a veterinarian, but also seek advice with doing this. And then if you are just a kennel assistant and then you did like 3 days as a kennel assistant, but you're still working underneath the veterinarian, like don't forget to put that under for your application. So in total, I would say I had around 3,000 or 2,500 experience hours for my application, which I believe helped set it apart. And when I was filling everything out, I was just like writing the basics down of, yeah, I shadowed this appointment, and then I realized they don't know how much I do know unless I tell them. So there were certain things that I had seen as a shadow that like I needed to write that down. Like one day I got to work with monkeys that were doing their transport certificate in order to go to this like convention thing. So I wrote down the breed of the monkeys. Like I had said, in this exam we did this breed of monkeys for this purpose because they were going here. Like I wrote down specifics, and like I palpated a mare and got to see the corpus luteum, so I put that down. Like I used these big scientific words to show that like I knew what I was doing when I was working. I wasn't just standing there. The other thing with the application that I had to consider was the price on how much it costs to apply to each school. Each school has a supplemental fee that will be listed on their website and when you're filling out the application. And with that, VMCAS has a fee per school that you add. So say you wanted to apply to 20 schools, then it would come out to probably $3,000 for just the VMCAS fee, not including the supplemental fees. And by the time you're done with 20 supplemental fees, I would say that you're in the around 5,000 mark for how much it's going to cost to apply to vet school. If you search VMCAS cost of application per school, it'll give you the breakdown of if you do 3 schools, this is how much it costs, if you do 5 schools, etc., etc. Make sure you put every single information that you remember since probably middle school on there. I know there's certain schools that specify whether they want like up to a certain date. With Missouri, they specifically told me that they wanted information back when I was in middle school. So like I did dance when I was 10 or something. I even put that down. They want to know these information. They want to know who you are and how you got to where you are in undergrad to apply to vet school. In total, my application when I started it in January, I did finish it in June-ish, but then I like would tweak little things in July, and my goal was to turn it in on August 1st. I ended up turning it in on August 12th, and that night I realized that I forgot to put one of my summer class grades in, which brought my GPA up from a 3.69 to a 3.7, and I was like, oh my gosh. Good news is they send the application back if you want to do one more fix on anything. Like you have time before the due date to fix something. So that's why I recommend to everyone to try to press submit by August 1st with everything, so then you have time to update it if something comes up by September 15th. Getting into vet school my first try was a huge accomplishment. But with that being said, getting in your second try or your third try is definitely normal. So don't think that if you didn't get in the first try, it's because you aren't worthy to go to the school that you want to go to. That is not the case at all. You are good enough to go to vet school. When you press submit and you have to wait to get an interview, if you don't get an interview or you get invited to an interview, however it goes, know that you are going to be where you're supposed to be. Everything is going to work out. About 75% of applicants don't get in their first try. So try again. My rule was I was going to try 2 or 3 times, and after that, I wasn't sure what I was going to do, but I knew that I wanted to pursue a career in the vet world. So keep your hopes up. You got this, and good luck, everybody.